It is my pleasure to be sitting down to chat with Dr. Yannick Hicks, who is a graduate of the Marshall University School of Pharmacy in 2017. Yannick, tell me a little bit about your bio. Tell us what got you to pharmacy school.
Yes, so I came to the US from Cameroon, West Africa in 2004. And I had a conversation with my mom, who was a nurse, and she was the one that brought up the idea of pharmacy to my awareness. And it resonated with me because I love chemistry. I used to be the best chemistry student in Cameroon. And so pharmacy made sense. I began to take classes, and that pharmacy was where I was going to go. And started sophomore year high school, and that's how I made those process. But of course, it wasn't a smooth ride. Like most things, I started hanging around the wrong crowds, doing the wrong things, and so went to community college and transferred to University of Georgia, and I was going to get my bachelor's in microbiology when the very last semester in 2012, I failed one of my classes, so I couldn't get my diploma. And things began to go downhill for me. And didn't do too well on my PCAT. And it just seems like pharmacy wasn't going to come to pass. But after applying to several pharmacy schools and getting so many rejections, I kind of given up that particular year, and I was already getting ready to, look probably the following year into getting into pharmacy school. But good fortune came my way as I was going through this tough time of not being accepted into pharmacy school, and this was my identity. This is all I wanted to do, and I got introduced into personal growth and development, and it literally changed my life. And because of that, I saw myself in a new light. I began to grow, began to develop, and I began to change my habits, my behaviors when necessary. And then my dream, getting into pharmacy school, came alive. And so as I changed, everything's changed for me. And a couple of months later, Marshall University gave me the opportunity, and I decided to seize it. And I said, I am going to do more for the school than anybody else while I'm there. And I made sure that while I was there, I was hungry more than anybody else while I was there, because it was a hard road just to get the opportunity to get there.
I can absolutely 100% identify with your story, because I too did not get in initially to the schools that I had applied to. I would probably say that I was not a qualified applicant when I first started applying. Didn't have all my prerequisites in order and stuff, but it was more about wanting to go through the process and understand the process of getting into pharmacy school. So I did not get in initially, and so I feel like it made me hungrier. It made me more dedicated to the process of getting into pharmacy school, so that when I did get that acceptance letter, like you said, I seized it. I went after it. I integrated myself fully into the education process. I wanted everything around pharmacy to be something that I was taking in and experiencing. And so I cannot help but just identify with your story. You got to Marshall and went through the rigorous academic process, and you'd mentioned off recording that you were very involved in the ASP chapter of APHA at Marshall. So tell me a little bit about why that was important to you to get involved at the school.
Yes. So before pharmacy school, I never had any leadership position in my life. Anybody that knew me knew that I wasn't, definitely they didn't see anything like that. But the desire for getting involved, first of all, started with the personal growth and development. listening to I was listening to John Maxwell on a daily basis and some of the other thought leaders, and as a result, leadership is all about adding value to others, serving people. And so as I'm listening to these messages, I'm going to school and I'm thinking of ways how I can increase my influence with others, how I can build relationship, how I can get involved. So it was because of how I was learning and growing in my own personal development that now it was what I was learning there was giving me the ideas and the stuff to get more involved in professional organizations. And so in order I can, cultivate my skills and be able to do those things. And so I got involved with APHA right away, just a regular member and getting involved. And I remember when it came time for elections, I wanted to run for like a secretary role, something like that, because I had never had any leadership position. And I wanted to say, hey, maybe I would just start from the bottom somewhere so I can start exercising my skills, because this is what I was learning about leadership and growth. And so one of the current officers said, hey, you should run for president-elect. I was like, oh, so, definitely she saw something in me. And so that's how I decided to go for the president-elect and, got it. And so while I was learning, the goal is to become more, you have to develop people. And so that was my goal while I became a leader. How can I develop the people around me? Not just me growing personally, but pouring into the people that were part of my team, helping them grow, not just not just professionally, but also personally. Because one thing I realized is that there were people that would just focus on professional side and they weren't growing personally. Because when they come into the real world is not just going to be just professional. You have to grow personally. As a matter of fact, when you grow personally, you become better professionally. And so that's how when I got involved with APHA, decided to want to develop the people in my team and help us to. And so we will go to the conferences, seminars. Of course, West Virginia Pharmacist Association. We were also part of that, and even came to Charleston, some of the conferences. I was always trying to get my officers to go to some of the stuff because that would help them really build a networking that they can get inspired with people's stories from the conferences. And it was just an amazing opportunity. So,
yeah. So we just had our annual meeting just a few weeks ago, and it was amazing to see over 65 students there from the 3 schools that were participating alongside other pharmacists and technicians and networking and socializing. And I really strongly believe that there is an undervaluing of networking in our associations and just in our profession in general, that the networking and the contacts that you make every day, you never know when that's the next step to your professional development or your personal development, that every person you come in contact with is somebody that can change or shape your life. So I understand that leadership wasn't something that you initially saw yourself doing, but you jumped into it and you found a lot of satisfaction in that leadership. Is that correct?
Absolutely. The thing was, leadership ability and stuff was in me because I grew up in Cameroon. My grandfather he saw the potential in me, and so he began to mentor me. He was strict, he was disciplined. He wanted me, taught me the importance of education. We got, tutors and stuff. So it was there early on, but I didn't see it. And so that's why when I came and I drifted, and once I got into personal growth, it was where I grabbed it quickly because that was already in me and it was built in my foundation. But of course, I didn't know it. And so people that knew me from my time I came to the US, and I even spoke to one of my other pharmacist friends who's like, you are not that kind of guy. I'm surprised that you're speaking in front of thousands of people. I just didn't see it, but you never know. There are a lot of things that I have to go back and you look at it, but because I didn't see myself. that. But now that I'm an adult and reflecting on my childhood and talking to my siblings, it was really, my grandfather saw it when I came here. People that knew me for years didn't see it. Of course, I didn't see it as well, but sometimes it just takes, something for that, something within you dormant. And there are a lot of people also, that's why I love to speak about leadership, because there are a lot of people that don't see themselves as leaders and they think, leadership is about position, title, and I'm getting to, see them to realize that it's about influence. If you can just, think about how you can increase your influence, you're a leader, and you don't have to be looking at it like you have to have some title or position, or leadership is just reserved for those other people there. So,
The phrase that I love to use is servant leadership, that we are often called to serve our organizations, and that you're right, it's not about the title, it's not about the position, it's about how can you help as many people from that position as possible. And when you look at it in terms of serving others, it really is not that much different than our pharmacy backgrounds. We still serve patients. It's just a different type of patient in a leadership position. You're not handing out amlodipine, you're handing out other help and advice and ways to bring people up and to support them and inspire them. And so I just absolutely love the idea of leadership being something that was kind of instilled in you early on and you didn't see it. And the fact that there were so many people in your life that did see it, that continued to develop you and inspire you and try to nourish you to become a leader. I think that we all have that one or two, or hopefully a bunch of people that are behind us that see that potential and continue to foster that development. So you graduated in 2017. You worked for a short time period as a pharmacist, and then what led to your current career path? How did you springboard from that?
so that same year when I graduated in 2017, I saw an opportunity to join the Maxwell leadership team. And as someone, like I said, leadership, was my passion and stuff. So it just resonated because, I already been studying John Maxwell and getting my team involved with his content and things like that. So it was a no-brainer. So I decided to become part of the Maxwell leadership team. And then I got a job as a pharmacist here in Arizona. I think I started, December of that 2017. And when I got into the Maxwell leadership team, that's when it became apparent to me that this is what I've always been envisioning while I was in pharmacy school. I saw people who have been successful, how they've been able to monetize it, make money, make a living, and even, become, massively successful. And I said, hey, this is what I've been dreaming about. This is what I've been seeing about. And so when I started practicing as a pharmacist with Walgreens and getting people. I love the fact that, hey, I was part of, working for Walgreens and having people on my team and, always looking for ways to inspire them and motivate them and connect with them. I mean, the relationship was even more important than anything else, and the connection and getting, working together as a team to accomplish a goal. And so, so as I'm practicing, I'm doing the business, Maxwell Leadership, and I'm practicing as a pharmacist. And then I said to myself, if I'm going to reach my potential, I need to spend more time on leadership development, really developing leaders, because like inspiring people and speaking with the Maxwell leadership team, because that is what has always been the vision. That's always been the vision that I had. And so I saw an opportunity where, while I was practicing with Walgreens and then Maxwell leadership team, and I said, I love the people side of things, and I love to, help people, to inspire them. maybe I can do this full time. Maybe I can transition and be able to do this full time because leadership is my love, leadership is my life, leadership is my passion. And so that's when I decided, I'm built for taking risk and, making those changes and stuff like that because I wanted to really work 100 and decent percent on my sweet spot, which is developing leaders and helping them reach their potential. And so that's when in February of 2019, I decided to make that leap of faith and just decided to stay on there even since then. And now even one of my coaching clients is a pharmacist, helping him, becoming a better leader. So just utilizing that and helping other pharmacies or helping other people with them.
So while you were studying and going through the training for the leadership school, you were still working as a pharmacist. Did you see yourself improving as a leader in the pharmacy at the same time as you were learning this stuff and taking it back into your pharmacy?
No, not really. Not like basically, my gift is in speaking, coaching, and training. Really developing leaders within the organization. I didn't really see, and that's why I decided to make. Sometimes you got to see yourself, right? I didn't really see myself moving up the ladder in pharmacy, and then that was not my vision. That was not my route. I was more stepping out, kind of getting into maybe the entrepreneur realm and, focus on speaking and go to conferences and seminars and just inspiring people. And then, of course, doing those one-on-one coaching and things like that. Yeah. So that was one thing that I looked into, and I looked at the realm. I said, well, it's great and stuff, but it's not my vision or what I really wanted to do to move up the ladder.
What about the ability to help or inspire people that you were working with at the pharmacy? Did you find yourself doing any coaching with them and inspiring them in some way?
Absolutely. So, you get opportunity with my team. I was always, I mean, they already knew that I was someone who is just very growth oriented and stuff like that. And I was always, talking about something philosophical, how to do with growth or habits and change. And then with my clients, sometimes, even when I will be counseling them on medication or even be slow, most of the time they want to talk about, what's happening in their lives and things like that. So I had the opportunity to do that. And that's why I decided to leave pharmacy because I wanted to do something maybe on a greater scale, right? I mean, on the bigger scale, like if I speak at conferences or if I work, on a greater scale to my ability or potential. But I did have the opportunity to coach, inspire my team, working with them. And I did get opportunity to, counsel patients, counsel on their medication, but, talking about stuff in their personal life and giving them sometimes advice on how to handle some personal issues that they have or have.
Well, and it sounds to me like you received great fulfillment from helping others in that role. And at that point, you made that decision that you wanted to chase that feeling of helping others in personal and professional development and growth. So you got certified as a coach through the leadership school, and at which point you started speaking at Rotary clubs and other venues to kind of get the message out about the importance of personal and professional development. Tell me how you went from speaking in these settings to setting up a business model that you were able to make as your career path.
The thing is, I didn't have to kind of reinvent the wheel because part of Maxwell. I mean, John Maxwell is the number one leadership. I mean, John Maxwell is the number one leadership expert, and so there was already kind of like a roadmap and things like that. And another thing is, I enjoy helping people more in their personal development, right? In their personal, of course, professional, people are this thing, the personal and professional development. But it was really a roadmap. So most of the things that I do that I learned on, once I started 5 years ago and stuff on how I need to start, I learned all those through the Maxwell method in the organization, how to market yourself, how to network and connect, where to go to speak and things like that. And I just kind of utilize that and build a business. And I just need a model. And it was the same thing with APHA. The reason why I was successful in APHA during our regime was the APHA had everything in the system. The national organization had everything there. You just have to be able to take that and then customize it to the way you want and help your organization to be successful. And I took that same mindset because I love when there's really a track of success. I just have to be able to duplicate. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. So when I came to Maxwell organization, I mean, there's so many things. People get sidetracked. I don't even get sidetracked because I'm clear with my vision. I know what it is, and I just get the things that I need and focus on them and be successful and put all the other thing else. So that was another thing that pharmacy helped me was I started my leadership journey, APHA, and I took some of those ideas on. They had all these things in the system. I just have to be able to find the ones that was beneficial to me and get those ones and put all the other things to the rest, and then take that to get the team together to get that track record to being successful. So another thing is what I found fulfilling in pharmacy was getting an opportunity to speak to what inspire my team and coaching talking to my clients about, their medication and, especially their personal stuff, right? Just because I'm a people person. The side that didn't really, I wasn't really utilizing my strength and stuff was the verifying of prescriptions and things of that sort. Those things are great, but it wasn't in alignment with my personality or my strength. Those were and that's where I have to actually spend most of my time if I want to get higher return as a pharmacist. So those were also some of the things that made me transition because the ones that I enjoy more, which is the consultation part, I wasn't getting much time for that. I had to spend more time verifying prescription, doing this, and then the busyness and the pharmacy and so.
I think you kind of touched on this earlier, but I just want to make sure that we give time to this idea that there is a link between personal satisfaction and professional satisfaction, and that sometimes people tend to focus too much on one or the other. But if you're not happy at home, you usually end up taking that to work with you and vice versa. So do you have any thoughts or tips on how to balance? It's such a big topic right now that we're talking about in the pharmacy world because of the working conditions in a lot of our pharmacies and the stress that a lot of us have been under the last 2 years with immunizations and COVID treatments. And maybe you could shed a little bit of light from your professional standpoint of what the best way is for us to take control of our personal and professional lives in a meaningful way that can take care of ourselves and allow us to take care of others more efficiently.
Great question. I realized as I was doing some reflection, because I always reflect, and I realized that in my business or profession, I was spending a good chunk of time, and I felt, and it just seems like my life revolved around well, what I do or my profession. And I had to come to a realization that, hold on, your business is not your life. Your profession is not your life. Like, you got to be able to find a way to separate your professional life and your personal life. They're interconnected, but you got to be able to separate your business from your personal life, because there's no one at the end of your life. Nobody says, I wish I had spent more time in the business or in my profession and stuff like that. Nobody says that. At the end of life, we're gonna look at it like, I wish I spent more time with my family, with my kids. So the best, the distinct way is to realize that your profession is not your life. Your profession is just part of your whole life, right? Life has, the whole different part. And so we also have the personal life is to, hey, when I'm with my family or doing my personal life, I give my 100% to it and not thinking about my business or my profession. When I'm in my profession, I'm giving my 100% effort and I'm not thinking about my personal life. So wherever I am, I'll be there. So what I've decided to do now is really, yeah, wherever I am, be there. And one of the things that I decided to do is I'm going to dedicate this amount of time and go to work and maybe all the way till about maybe 5 o'clock or whatever it is. And then the next, I'm just going to devote it totally to my family. But it's making my family a priority. Like, hey, on my schedule, I'm going to make sure that my family is a priority. I'm going to put that on my schedule so that I don't get bogged down in my profession and then miss those things. Are we going to be 100%? No, but it's really making that intentional effort in making that a priority. And how I have to do that is at the end of the week, I have to review my schedule and I have to look at things and I have to be able to plan for the following week, put in my personal life as a priority, my family, and then put my work and design it that way.
So you mentioned coaching some of your clients, and it just kind of jogged an idea in my head that what we do as pharmacists is basically medical coaching, that we are helping them to have a better personal life through better health decisions or managing health conditions or whatever, so that they can go and have a happy and successful personal life or professional life. So I'm interested to hear your comments as far as if there's tips that you would give pharmacists that would make them better communicators of that medical coaching, that would impact on a greater level or to a greater number of people, to allow them to go off and have more successful personal journeys.
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing is, before, if you're doing, medical coaching or as a pharmacist, one of the most effective skills of a coach is listening, right? When we talk about listening, it's really listening at a level 3 level, empathic listening, right? But, one of the things that I'll first of all recommend is in every this thing you have an agenda, right? Start with an agenda. This is what we do as a coach. We have a framework. We call it the AOOA. So the A stands for agenda. So what are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to achieve with this client, this patient? The O stands for obstacles, right? They're going through some obstacles and challenges that they're experiencing, or maybe not taking their medications and stuff. So uncover the obstacle. The next O stands for opportunities. What are opportunities in the problem? What are some options that they can be able to navigate? And the A stands for action. What are some action steps? You always have to add the action, but it's leading with questions and not trying to provide the answers to the client. And then while you're asking, really listening at a level 3 level, that patient's real being there, and then help them to navigate, and then just follow up with that, but making sure that the action is small, it's measurable, and you just follow up with them with that.
So, two final questions for you. You mentioned that you got involved with the John Maxwell Leadership School after reading some of his books and really getting into the idea of personal and professional development and leadership. So for those who are listening, if they have never read a book of his and have time to read just one book, what is that one book that you would recommend that really shaped you and gave you the basics to get into the idea of leadership and personal development?
Developing the Leader Within You 2.0 by John Maxwell. I think that is a good, that is a good solid book to really get foundational principle. But that's what I would recommend. Someone that is thinking about getting to leadership or maybe it's leadership, and just developing the Leader Within You 2.0 by John Maxwell.
And we talked a little bit throughout this interview about how pharmacy has impacted you, but I'm interested to hear what specifically you feel like you have carried with you from your pharmacy background and education to your current job or position as a personal coach that has changed your life through pharmacy school and made you a better person, a better personal coach. What did you take with you from your pharmacy education?
So you're talking about taking away more from the education standpoint, or just while I was in pharmacy school, some of the lessons that I learned, or more in the academics?
I would say more from the greater perspective of not all education coming in the form of a textbook. So outside of academics or maybe inside academics, I don't know, maybe there were some things that you still use motivational interviewing, or there's certain aspects of the pharmacy curriculum that is built to teach us communicating with our patients. And I don't know if maybe any of that kind of helped along the way, or if the leadership aspects like you talked about with APHA had a definite impact. But just in general, is there some message that you took out of pharmacy school that you now look back on and say, it's because of pharmacy school that I'm where I'm at right now?
Yeah, I think for me, more came from APHA. More came from APHA. And of course, I took a business class while I was in pharmacy school, and that gave me some ideas about, and that's why even I started thinking about business while I was in pharmacy school. Even I was thinking more independent pharmacy. And so most of the summers I work at an independent pharmacy. So I remember professors who were very involved with West Virginia Pharmacists Association, talking about business. So the business class really got me to think more independent pharmacy, and I remember that's what I was actually thinking to do. But yeah, APHA, I think APHA got me to see the bigger picture in pharmacy when I go to these national conferences. While I was in these conferences, I'll see pharmacy at a higher level, and that begins to inspire me. And I'll see, these pharmacists that are doing things on a grand scale. And I began to see myself, hey, I can be there. And then the networking opportunities while I was there, I learned those early years. Pharmacy gave me the opportunity to learn some of the leadership skills that I learned, and about teamwork and all those things. APHA, I mean, some of those networking opportunities that through APHA, I even have them today. Most of them, because most of our failures and successes in life is tied to the relationships that we have. So that's why I was very passionate about APHA more than anything else. Most people thought I was going to go to residency because I was so involved, but it was just because I was passionate about leadership and everything. So APHA really, and that's why when like I said, if someone joins the Maxwell organization, most of them it's like, man, this thing is big. We have too many stuff. What do I do? But I had learned while I was in APHA, I know to get what I want, and I'm focused. I'm not distracted, and I'm quick to get success because you just had the pathway to success. And that's what I would say.
So for our listeners, we did not pay Yannick to endorse APHA and talk about how great APHA is. However, he's correct. APHA is a phenomenal organization, and his recommendation of getting involved at the state and national level is something that we try to get the message out on a regular basis. So it's really great to have somebody who can speak to it firsthand and say that their experiences in school, working with their ASP chapter, working with the West Virginia Pharmacists Association, had such a profound impact on them. And I hope that you hear his message and you take his message to heart and you get involved with us. We are a bunch of really great people. I would not do this and do all the stuff that I'm doing with West Virginia Pharmacists Association if it wasn't for the great people that I met, that I got to work beside, some of my personal mentors and just amazing people. So I think that it's really important
West Virginia Pharmacists Association.
Listen to what Yannick said and that you get involved now while you're in school and start to develop your leadership skills to go out and change the world. And so I really thank you, Yannick, from the bottom of my heart for your message and for really communicating to us that there is more to this thing called life than just pharmacy, and that outside of our professional careers, we still have to focus on that personal aspect. And so I thank you again for your time. And hopefully one of these days here soon, we can get you back here to West Virginia for a conference where you can come and talk to us about why leadership is so important.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Rafa. It's been a great opportunity. When Dr. Lau made the introduction, I'm always excited about alma mater, West Virginia Pharmacy Association, APHA, and so thank you for the privilege and opportunity. My heart goes to it, and definitely, I'd love to, you talk about your annual conference, love to speak, whatever conference opportunity. I'd love to come back. It's been a couple of years I haven't been in West Virginia, so it would be great to come back. And
APHA is in Phoenix in March, so maybe we might see you there too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yep. So with that, I want to thank you again sincerely and have a wonderful rest of the year with friends and family. We wish the same thing for all of our followers and listeners on the podcast, that you take the time that you need to reflect on what the last year has brought you in terms of blessings, and that you are spending that time with friends and family during this time of the year when we tend to focus on that. So thank you again.